Nets Kingdom.
Fuck that house mob. I'm back. To the top, I'ma make it. Niggas just can't take it. To the top, I'ma make 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 it. Niggas just can't take it.
Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ. I'm here with Cypher and Rage. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Nets Kingdom 1, and don't forget to follow all our Twitters scrolling at the bottom. So we're gonna break down CMB, also known as Collin Murray-Boyles, currently projected on the big board on ESPN Big Board around the 8 to 9, 10 range. A lot of Nets fans on Nets Twitter really like Collin Murray-Boyles and, expect him to succeed. I've seen top 5, I've seen top 3, I've seen, in that range. So breaking down Collin Murray-Boyles, he is a 6'7" forward out of South Carolina. He's a sophomore, but he's a young sophomore, age 19, born June 10th, 2005. So he'll be turning 20 right around the draft. Wingspan 7 foot. His strengths are physicality and finishing. He has a very strong frame, kind of like a bowling ball frame, like Julius Randle. We were just talking about Zion, that type of frame on him. But like I said, 6'7", undersized at his forward position. Defensive versatility is one of his strengths also. He can guard multiple positions, 2 through 5, effective rim protector in help side scenarios. They say he has a high defensive IQ. He can anticipate passes. And then another strength is rebounding. He's aggressive on both ends. The playmaking is there. We're going to go further into the stats, but the playmaking is there. They say it's good vision for a forward. He can initiate offense kind of like a Draymond. And when I first watched TMB, I thought he was like a Draymond kind of archetype. The way he was playing, he was defending on the wings, initiating offense, making, good passes in the short roll. But at the same time, he's a really good play finisher. And then he has the motor and intangibles, I think, is the strength. He just has a really high motor, and I want Saif, you can break down the stats. Like, what was his draft casual stats about his rim percentage?
I mean, look, with CMB, like he played in the SEC conference, led the whole league and led the whole conference in field goal percentage, 58.6%. So in terms of like hitting shots, like he was the best in the conference. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, they were all dunks, layups, and paint shots, so he wasn't taking necessarily jump shots, mid-range jump shots, anything like really fancy. He wasn't really creating that much. Now, there was some driving capabilities, which is really interesting, and that is the most important thing with CMB, because if you're going to take him in the top 10, like, he needs to be a genuinely elite driver. Like, he needs to be able to break down his own man, get to the rim with force, and be able to collapse the defense and really become that engine type of player, that Giannis, that Zion, that type of player.
Yeah, because I'm saying if you're going to take him top 3, top 4, he has to be, to me, all right, these are my concerns. I might as well just get into the concerns right away, because the first thing that jumps out of me is, let's say the combine, he's going to get measured, and if he is 6'6" without shoes on, that's a problem, because he plays like a big, like I said, like Draymond. He plays like he's an undersized big. Now he does like play bigger than his size, but in the NBA, it's just very, very tough when you don't have positional size at the big man position, and then you can't shoot at the same time. Now they compared him to Julius Randle. Now this is what they said that the comparisons were: physicality and strength in the post, ability to score around the basket, playmaking skills for a forward. Like Randle, Murray-Boyles is a left-handed forward who can operate as a small ball big, initiate offense in transition, and muscle his way through defenders. However, he's still developing a consistent shot, which will be key. So, and then they said he has shades of PJ Washington and Grant Williams due to his defensive versatility as a potential two-way guy. So that's great and all. Like, I like the comparisons, but to me, like I said, the problem is if I'm drafting him that high, as people want him to say, he has to be like the shooting has to be there in today's modern NBA. I'm sorry, like at least a semblance of shooting. Like what was his shooting? 20% from three at one attempt.
He shot 27% from three on 1.1 attempts.
Yeah, it has to be there in this modern NBA. Like you gotta give me more than that. And then I was looking at the mechanics. They're not really standoutish to me. They look like it needs work, a lot of work. And then at the same time, the speed is what I'm worried about. Like, what position is he going to be really in the NBA? Like,
Well, that's the big concern because
Yeah.
he's a tweener like Draymond was, and
Mhm.
that's why he gets the comp. Because the scary part about him and why I would not take the risk on drafting him is because the NBA has gotten bigger than it was before.
Yeah.
And this whole small ball, like 6'6", 6'7" power forwards things that can't shoot, like that's not going to work because you have teams that are playing like Evan Mobley at the 4,
Yeah.
Cat at the 4, Chet Holmgren at the 4. Like you need versatility at the 4 position,
Yeah.
and at his size, unless he is like truly elite as a driver, like he is not going to make it in the NBA.
Yeah. And the Zion comparisons that we got from Draft Casual, I guess that's what they said offensively. That's what his stats compared to. Because I know he's like an analytical darling. That's why a lot of like the analytical guys are like, oh my god, look at these CMB analyticals because he has like the good analyticals, box sheet kind of guy.
He has a box plus minus of 11.9, which is like amazing. Like that is like very elite.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't really trust the box plus minus because like I think he could be like a high impact player.
Yeah.
But in terms of like being like a starter or even like that type high upside player, I just don't see it. He just doesn't have like the skill set to really make it in the NBA.
It's funny because like when you think about guys like him, the tweeners, it's like sometimes it could work, but it's really a system type of thing, right? Like they have to be in the right team has to draft him for him to succeed. Like I think CMB is kind of in that tweener position where if the right team drafts him, I think he'll look better than what he actually is.
Or they have to be generational.
Yeah.
Or like they have to be like Zion or we don't think Draymond is generational, but like he's a generational.
He's a Hall of Famer
at his size.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they like in order for CMB to work, he has to be a legitimately generational player.
Yeah. And like I said, the system thing, because Draymond was in the system where, okay, my backcourt, I have the best shooting backcourt in NBA history. You know, all that spacing is going to let me look amazing. You know, I can attack closeouts. I could pass in the short roll. I could sometimes hit a three. But if CMB doesn't have that spacing and that backcourt, that gravity on his team, and you're asking him to be like a lead, like some type of play initiator and lead creator on a team that needs buckets, it's like, that's where I'm like, I can't draft you that high, buddy. I can't.
Well, now with CMB, there is the argument that because he's still plenty young, like he'll be 20 his rookie year. An argument that I could see in his favor for drafting him is, hey, can we work on that mechanic and get him into like a good catch and shoot guy?
That makes sense because like I said, that opens up a lot if he can do that at the next level. But like I said, his defense, they talk about his defense versatility. Is he a switch guy? Like, can he really guard, guards in the switches, or is he really as versatile as Draymond or as like one of these,
I mean, I think he's a good defender, but I think, look, his interior defense, it's a little bit, being 6'7" in college and getting those blocks, no defensive 3-second violation. Like, I think that's something like NBA fans like forget about college. It's very easy to be like a forward and camp in the paint and get blocks. His like defensive skill, like he has some like rim protection in his game. He's got the strength to guard like forwards. He does have switchability, but I would not classify him as like a high level defender.
Yeah.
At least in the NBA where things are going to be faster, bigger, and more space. Like I have a hard time seeing him being like a truly elite defender.
Go ahead, Rage. What do you like? Where would you take him, I guess, in the draft?
I guess personally, like I would definitely not take him with the first pick unless we land 9. At that point, we'll take it as the consolation prize. Like I do think Collin Murray is a very interesting like developmental piece. Like I think he's a very interesting project, but it's like with a guy like that, if you can get that 3-point shot down on top of it, maybe getting that speed up and getting to that like that Zion level, because with Zion, it's like he's like I'd picture Zion as like much quicker, and
Yeah.
Collin Murray almost reminds me of like a Zach Randolph with his offensive game in terms of his speed, because it doesn't jump out necessarily to me. And then defensively, I feel like he's going to be guarding more fours, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can guard a Jason Tatum or another type of like a top tier four at
Kawhi
like the next
Leonard,
level. Kawhi, Paolo,
Paolo.
just experienced forwards. That's where I'm at with that. Like if we somehow have like if he somehow drops a 19, which he won't, like that would be awesome. But it's not. It's like it's a very low chance I'd take him with the first round pick. It'd be like more so like if it's 9, or we traded up for another pick.
Yeah.
And it made sense, but it's hard to see Collin Murray ultimately being what we need in terms of going, because we still have Claxton, right? And I don't know if developing him next to Claxton makes the most sense for Collin Murray and our team in general.
Yeah.
With CMB, like I'll say this, the rim finishing is elite.
Right.
Like he is amazing as like a roll man. Like his driving, like he has a lot of like offensive versatility around getting to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like his portability in the NBA, like just Raid said, like he does not fit next to Claxton unless he develops some type of jump shot.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. Again, in the modern NBA, it's just, hey, if you're going to be 6'6", 6'7", and you're playing the forward position, you're not going to last. Like double bigs is the new trend in the NBA, and like I'd rather.
He's the size of a wing, like a small wing. Some combo guards are his size. Well, Jaylen Brown is around
like
his
Draymond,
size.
like
it
peeks out to you that it's like, oh yeah, it's more so of like a Draymond type of archetype, because it's like 6'6" is like, like that's essentially what Draymond is, but he plays like, he's at 4 essentially. He's always kind of been a 4. It's just that type of play style with that type of build, which obviously, we talked about compares to, Julius Randle, Zion, and
he's the type, to me, if like I said, the system thing is going to be really important when he's drafted, because the team he goes to, he's better hoping to get like they already have something in store for him, or he's like going to be placed in a good, like, you think he would fit on maybe the Spurs or OKC maybe could use him. Like those guys have like kind of a thing going, a young core already.
I will say this though. What if he ends up being, let's just say he looks like the Thompson twins in his early years?
Oh, it's a high ask, but it's a possibility.
Because let's just say the defense, because defense is sometimes hard to like evaluate because of the difference in college and the NBA.
Yeah.
I'll just say he comes in and he's like on that level, because like the Thompson twins, like they have like their upside is also like insanely high, even though they don't have the jump shot. So if he ends up on that level, then that would be like a different story.
Yeah. To me,
that's a player you're going to take ultimately if it makes sense.
To me, his defense is not that elite. Like, to me, I think he's still stuck between 3, 4, and 5, and I still don't know if he can guard quick 4s and 3s. I know they say defensive versatility is great, but like I said, the NBA is another echelon of athletes getting bigger, faster, stronger. It has to translate for me. He would have to show me at the NBA level that he can keep up to say his defense, because the defense is good. I'm not saying it's bad, but transitioning to the NBA, I don't know if it's going to be the type where you can, be the Amen or a Draymond, or because those guys are elite defenders, bro. Like great point of attack defenders.
And you got to be at 6. If he's 6'6", like he's got to be able to guard those 3s or 4s. You have to. You got to be able to guard those 3, that quicker 3, those 3s or 4s.
Especially if you can't shoot. I mean, if you're not shooting, that's like
right. And ultimately too, like another part of the game that's been talked about and that we've kind of mentioned too is that like he has that type of like he has solid passing, like he has decent vision, but it's like ultimately is that going to translate onto the next level in terms of like, and we even talked about like he's like big analytically, and like like it favors him, but not on the assist side. And that is one thing that a lot of people like ultimately do like go to in terms of like, well, talk about like him being like a good assist guy, but like, and then also like with the analytics, but the analytics don't support him being a phenomenal passer.
What was his assist to turnover? So it was like 2 to 1.
No, 1 to 1.
Oh,
He
1 to
averaged
1.
the exact same number of assists, 2.4 assists, 2.4 turnovers.
Oh, see, yeah, that's not. Yeah.
Here's it. I do like that it is at 2.5.
Mhm.
The turnovers are an issue, but again, like he's so young, like you could figure
You figure it out. Yeah.
the vision is there. It's
I
like
think
with
it's
Cam.
the vision and the feel is what I think the scouts are impressed with more so than the actual assists.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
willing
that's
to accept like some boneheaded turnovers. Like
yeah.
you'll those will get like phased out of his game. I will say this like regarding like the Thompson twin comparison. I don't think CMB has like the athleticism the Thompson twins have.
Oh no,
No,
no, he's not that athletic. He's athletic, but it's more like a play finishing, lob type dunking.
looking
Sometimes, yeah, that type of
looking
like
at his
yeah.
like shots made. So okay, he was 99th percentile in total rim makes.
Mhm.
He was 81 percentile in dunks made.
Oh wow,
Which is still good. Like,
yeah,
but it's like it makes me think: does he have like? It was like layup, so he is like a fantastic finisher.
yeah,
But he wasn't necessarily relying on his athleticism to make those finishes all the time.
yeah,
So in one way, you could view that as a positive because he doesn't need like he's not a Claxton where it's like he relies on his athleticism to get up and score those points.
yeah. Or
And he
like a
does have
Zion. Zion is very athletic, so it's like that
yeah
really helps him at that size. That's why Zion's kind of freakishly athletic.
yeah
So it exceeds his height. Even though he's 6'6", 6'7", his frame and athleticism is just too much to deal with. There's nothing you can do when he takes advantage.
And it's like
Creation.
if he develops that speed and he gets to that type of level and he has that type of like rain where like he's you have people collapsing on him, that his passing will look even more like will excel at it in a different type of level because of obviously like how much force he brings upon with like just with his finishing ability. And if it's like you have a 3-pointer at that point as well, like that's obviously that's a dominant player in this NBA. It's just a matter of actually getting it right and him being that type of guy offensively in terms of like being like a quick and athletic finisher while also being able to minimize turnovers and having solid vision. But obviously, like Saif said, you're gonna take some turnovers early, like still rookie and young, but like it's still it's a solid like 2.5 is definitely a solid like number to be at, and he can definitely excel that at the next level with spacing and the right team around him.
Yeah,
I do think the big issue with CMB and why he's a bit controversial is his analytics definitely have like overrated him.
yeah.
But he like the play like he is still a good player with a lot of positive skills. Like he's very unique. He is a tweener with like a unique skill set. I think he'd be like there are guys saying oh top 3, top 4. Like I think they're outright wrong.
Yeah, me too.
But like 8 or 9, like that is a good spot to take him
Yeah.
because that reflects like the risk reward you are taking in drafting a player like Collin Murray-Boyles.
I just feel like I would love to see him on OKC. I think OKC, like, that would be a great team for him because that's just that style of play where they have all those two-way versatile guys that can shoot and they have a lot of spacing around him. So he just has to be a great defender versatility and then kind of playmaking that short roll for all the spacing around him if they like be versatile with the lineups one time. Maybe put Chet at the 5, CMB, and then like, different type of lineups they can play with those, manipulate those lineups, and I feel like he would fit in that kind of type system.
Well, that's kind of an issue because in order for him, he'd fit on the best team in the NBA. Well, like if
that's true.
If that's what it takes for him to like fit in the NBA, like that is and that is like a concern because again, a non-shooting forward, like it's just hard to fit.
It's hard. Like I said, it's hard. But like I said, if he's already on a team, that's the only way I think he'll succeed. And I'm not downing CMB. Like he's a good prospect, but I just think, in my opinion, his ceiling is more role player guy than being really like an effective build around piece. Because when we're talking top 5, top 4, you have to be an engine. You got to be your upside. Got to be elite. You have to be a build around piece. That type of upside, in my opinion, to be in that echelon. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, you're not wrong.
Okay.
It just with him, I don't know. The Nets would be like a good place for him. Like he could really because he would have unlimited opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would have the ball and he would be able to say, "Hey, Jordy would be like, hey, CMB, go downhill and try to create something."
Oh yeah, Jordy would put him in that DHO system with the dribble handoffs and Oh yeah, he would love probably a CMB type player, like
It would be interesting. Like his, I don't know. It's like he would have to be like a very high end like creator, like
Yeah.
downhill creator for him to really be successful in the NBA, and to ignore like the portability issues. Like, because if he could be on like that Zion level, like I don't think he will be, but if he could get close, then you'll build your roster around him. Like you'll find him a stretch five. You'll find him a bunch of shooting wings.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments how you guys feel about CMB. Let us know what you guys. Where would you take him? Do you think he's top 5, top 10, maybe a little bit late, early lottery pick? Let us know where you would say Collin Murray-Boyles out of South Carolina. I appreciate all the support. Again, hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at NetsKingdom1, and all our Twitters are scrolling at the bottom. Appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back.